morning, everybody. Welcome to Unity in the Seven Hills. We're going to get things started with some music. Let's stand. We're going to do 2 songs this morning, have a little break, and we're going to get a little pronunciation assistance with the 3rd song before we do it. So let's start. Little Eddie Watkins to get us started this morning, to lift us up into the day. No matter where you come from, no matter where you're going, here's a place where you can take comfort in the knowing that whether you've come to stay a while or just passing through, this door is open to you. Come and let's be silent, come let's share a hug, come let's pray together, come love and be loved. The fussed out to the turned out, the pampered to the abused, this door is open to you. Come on in, come on in, come on in, come on in. The God in us recognizes the God in you. Whether you're black or white, gay or straight, Christian, Buddhist or Jew, this door is open to you. There's some kind of trouble or pain you're going through, know that you are not alone. Someone cares for you as an individualization of a divine point of view. This door is open to you. Come on in, come on in, come on in, come on in. God in us recognizes the God in you. Whether you're black or white, gay or straight, Christian, Buddhist or Jew, this door is open to you. Whether you're black or white, gay or straight, Christian, Buddhist or Jew, this door is open to you. Gonna keep it going this morning. Little Daniel Neighbors. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place when at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. My soul is welcome here. My soul is welcome here. Yes, it is. My soul is welcome here. My soul is welcome here. Yeah, sing with me. My soul is welcome here. My soul is welcome here. Yeah. My soul is welcome here. My soul is welcome here. So, stay standing. We've got one more song, but we're going to allow Ari to give us the pronunciation of the last verse.
Yeah, so as we get to the end of this, it's all going to be in Hebrew. And the words are Shalom,
Shalom,
Havarim,
Chavarim,
Lehit Ra'ot.
Lahit Ra'ot.
All right. So that's Shalom Haverim Lahit Ra'ot. And it will be up there.
Oh, you're saying all kinds of things. I tell
Shalom,
you.
my friend.
Shalom, my friend. Yeah. Hello, welcome, goodbye also. Shalom means everything. So there we are. Let's
Peace.
sing it. And peace too, yeah. Shalom, my friend. Shalom, my friend. Shalom, shalom. Shalom, my friend. Shalom, my friend. Shalom, shalom. Shalom, my friend. Shalom, my friend. Shalom, shalom. God's peace be with you. God's peace be with you. Shalom, shalom. Shalom, my friend. Shalom, my friend. Shalom, shalom. As we meet again, as we meet again. Shalom, 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 Haverim. Shalom, Haverim. Shalom, shalom. Lehitraot, lehitraot. Shalom, shalom. Shalom, Haverim. Shalom, Haverim. Shalom, shalom, lehitraot, lehitraot, shalom, shalom. Good morning, everybody.
And good morning, Unity in the Seven Hills. Let's start out by blessing the Christ candle. There's only one presence and one power in the universe and in our lives. God, the good, omnipotent. And we're going to really be doing two things, well, many things, but two specific things today. One, continuing that series on unity and world religions. Today we're going to be looking at Judaism. And also, Lent has started, and we're also going to be looking at Lent. And you're going to see, I think, some interesting intersections. First, if there's anybody who is new to Unity in the Seven Hills, welcome. If you could just slip up your hands a second, we have an introductory packet. We have one person here, over here. We'll tell you a little bit about Unity, and we'd also ask you if you could fill out a card just to let us know about you, and so we can help you on your spiritual walk. If you're relatively new to Unity, we also have these booklets. Don't hesitate to come on up. It really tells more about Unity, and also particularly about Unity in the Seven Hills. Well, Lent has started, and I know for many of you, you have memories of Lent, of giving up candy, giving up alcohol. I remember my Scandinavian friends, when I would go to their houses to eat during Lent, they would serve something called lutefisk, which was this cod, which was so salty. I was told it was an acquired taste. I never acquired it, but what I feel so wonderful, though, about In Unity is that Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, the co-founders of the Unity movement, I think have really kicked up Lent a notch. And there's this wonderful booklet actually in the back called 40 Days of Letting Go about Lent. What the Fillmores advocated, particularly Charles, in a wonderful book called Keeping a True Lent, what he advocated was it's not about giving up candy or alcohol or eating lutefisk or whatever. That this period could be a time where we let go of what they called error thoughts. Error thoughts. What's an error thought? A thought that, oh, I'm not good enough, scarcity, lack. If something is good, it's going to be taken away from me. I could never do this. Those kinds of negative thoughts and letting them go. Today, actually, in the booklet, it talks about we are always in a stark and beautiful moment of letting go of one thing, thought, or situation while being set free to more excellent, deeper, and more expansive experiences. Letting go is a process that invites us to affirm the truth of our being. We learn to trust the movement of spirit, creating a masterpiece in you and me. And we affirm letting go of what is. I trust the process of becoming more than I ever imagined. I would encourage you, it's a wonderful booklet, by the way, and as I say, we have copies of it back there. Lent is a wonderful time to look at error thoughts which we still have, which are holding us back from what we could possibly be and possibly become. Dear Spirit, thank you for this time of Lent. Thank you for this time of examination of what is no longer serving us. Almost like clothes in a closet which no longer fit us and we're no longer going to wear. To make room in that closet for new and wonderful things to happen and come into our lives. And for this and so much more, we say thank you and amen and amen. We also each week study one of Unity's 5 basic principles, and today we're on, a principle which was so important in my life because I came, as I've shared here before, I came from a family of negative thinkers. Oh my God, born under a bad sign and whatever. And my mother, my late wife Debbie, whom many of you knew, when I started seeing Debbie, my mom looked at me and God bless her and all that. My mom said, for the like of me, Rick, I don't understand what Debbie sees in you. This is from the family. Coming into Unity to come, and it's called, there's a reason why it's called New Thought. That, as long as I'm thinking negative thoughts, or this could never happen, or if something good is there, it's going to be taken away. As long as that stuff is reverberating in my head, guess what's probably going to repeat and happen? What's going to repeat and happen? There's a wonderful, in Unity, we talk about the law of mind action. A thought in mind produces after its kind. And one of the things I was so struck about Unity's 3rd principle, that my thoughts, really can contribute to what is, what is going on. I saw there was a Super Bowl bet and before the service, and I'm a Kansas City Chiefs fan, and seminary out there and everything else like that. So anyway, and I don't want to make it sound like, the Super Bowl was all dependent on my thought or what I was thinking. And it all, the universe, there are many, many people, and it's a collective process. But I remember as I went into seeing the Super Bowl, because I'm a big believer that essentially, it doesn't get the attention, but games are won and lost in football on the line. And I thought, well, Philadelphia's line is much superior. This is probably not going to be a time where we're going to win. Now, how does that thought, line with unity thinking? Not too well. First half, and it's a confirmation of exactly, that. I mean, Philadelphia is trouncing them. And then Patrick Mahomes, who I deeply love and think's a great player and a great hero, all that, he gets re-injured, upper injury on the leg. Oh my God, it's all over. Patrick Mahomes is out and all. Then this thought struck me, Rick, your negative thinking is not helping matters whatsoever. And also, great, he just won the MVP, Most Valuable Player Award. If, truly great athletes are able to rise to the occasion, I know tons of examples of that from athletics, where the really great ones rise to the occasion. If you believe that Patrick Mahomes is really one of those great ones, he can rise to the occasion. They can turn it around. Andy Reese is a great coach. They will group, and it's a longer halftime with the Super Bowl. They can come out and have a completely different second half, and they can win this. That was the change in attitude. And I'm not trying to say it was just my brain that changed the whole. They came out and they scored. And Patrick Mahomes was, not only was he a great passer, he actually ran for a lot of yardage in the second half, if you remember that. And what was more important than what was going on in my mind, I heard several interviews of Kansas City Chiefs players. And essentially, they went through that process in halftime, in the locker room. We didn't play up to our and Patrick, I can do this. Don't worry about it. And they rose to that occasion. A thought in mind does produce after its kind. When we come into a situation with negative thinking, it's not helping things at all. And that wonderful third unity principle says that when we can get on a positive beam and align with spirit, look out, incredible things can be accomplished. Let's say, I love the wording which is used here to express these principles. Let's say this third principle together. Thoughts have creative power to determine events and attract experiences. I've seen this happen time and time again in my life and in the life of a lot of other people's. And when we can get on that wavelength, it is truly, truly, truly incredible. We are so fortunate to have such a wonderful YFM program. My hat off to Crystal and what is going on. Let's bless our youth.
So let's stand and bless our youth together. You are a perfect child of God, and God and I love you just the way you are and wherever you are. This very light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, everybody. This bright light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This bright light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. All the time. This bright light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine. This bright light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This bright light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. There you are.
Please be seated. Let's affirm our mission together. Our mission. Of course you can.
One more thing. It's for all of those of us who are in the second half of our game in our life, right? We've always got the chance to turn things around and make it better.
Let's affirm our mission statement together. Unity in the Seven Hills is a vibrant, inclusive community that inspires individual spiritual growth through education, prayer, heart connection, and sacred service. And our vision statement, centered in spirit, we see a world transformed by divine love, where innovative solutions are celebrated and all needs are met. And it is Black History Month, and Ari has been getting words of wisdom from Black unity leaders, and so turn it over to Ari.
This is the last week we'll be doing Black History Month. We will start Women's History Month next time, so we'll be looking for some women to read next month. And before I start this moment of inclusivity, I also want to remind you that there are pronoun areas on your name tags. If you still haven't filled them out, I will still find you, and I still have a pen, which they say is mightier than the sword, so watch out. So today's Black History reading is Answering the Call by Reverend Kathy Beasley. My charge today is to speak to you about what it means to answer the call. It has taken faithfulness beyond measure for us to remain on a path when we could not always see where we were going, to trust in a process that was ever evolving, and to lean on the shoulders of strangers who reached back to encourage us. Like Paul in 1 Corinthians 15:58 said, "My dear brothers and sisters, stay firmly planted, be unshakable. Do many good works in the name of God, and know that all your labor is not for nothing when it is for God. Today, we are here for God." To answer is to live and be fully alive to every aspect of the journey before us. To answer means we are ready to shift from merely speaking the good news on Sunday morning to finding the willingness to be the good news that inspires the heart of humanity. To answer the call is to realize that our words have the power to bring about change, to speak life into the stillness, to throw light upon the darkness, and to demand joy out of the struggle. Answering the call of the one who continues to call us is an absolute act of love. When I say love, it is not your everyday emotive love. It is a radical, soul-stirring, truth-telling, door-opening, mind-changing, revolutionary love that bubbles up and flows out of us in such a way that there is no message we can keep to ourselves and no mountain that will not move out of our way. Here is the thing to know and understand about the ordinance and graduating class of 2019. This is from a speech she did for them. We have not been standing by quietly, waiting for this moment to arrive. Our response to the call has stirred us to add our voices to the world around us by writing and publishing books, submitting new courses, proposals. This is all stuff for them. We'll skip this section. We have taken to the streets of our cities and marched for justice, stood in solidarity with other faith leaders and praying for peace, and we have loved with a revolutionary force that has demanded change in the world around us. We are the call made known in our living and being. We are the embodiment of the resounding yes and the grand amen.
We missed Bonnie. I'm sure many of you missed Bonnie too, but we're so glad to have her back, and we've asked her to read the Daily Word.
I can never get away. No, that's not right. I had a great time, so it's great to see all of you, though. I've missed you. So today's daily word is let go, let God. I bravely release outworn behaviors and embrace my bright, brilliant future. My last third of my life, maybe. Holding on to what no longer serves me because it is familiar and I've grown accustomed to it may stall my growth. I evolve much more quickly when I trust my guidance and release old patterns and behaviors. In my heart, I know that when I move away from a dysfunctional relationship, a negative attitude, or unhealthy way of living, I move towards something greater: peace, safety, harmony, freedom, and fulfillment. I let go of anxiety or fear and open myself to happiness and security. I breathe in freedom. Does everybody do that? I breathe in freedom. My heart becomes buoyant and my steps lighter. I set my intention today to release anything I have been fearful of letting go so that I can confidently move forward, open to infinite good. And Matthew 18:18, truly I tell you, whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven.
Thank you. And now, special music.
So we are going to sing a song, Babylon, and if you choose to join us, feel free to do so. We're going to repeat each of the lines, so that gives you a chance to sing it with us, and we'll see where it goes. By the waters of Babylon. By the waters of Babylon. We lay down and wept for thee, Zion. We lay down and wept for thee, Zion. We remember thee, Zion. We remember thee, Zion. By the waters of Babylon. By the waters of Babylon. We lay down and wept for thee, Zion. We lay down and wept for thee, Zion. We remember thee, Zion. We remember thee, Zion. By the waters of Babylon. By the waters of Babylon. We lay down and wept for thee, Zion. We lay down and wept for thee, Zion. We remember thee, Zion. We remember thee, Zion. We remember thee,
Thank you, Daniel, Ari, and Billy. That song, of course, is about the exile. Jewish people were slaves in Egypt. Out of Egypt they came, and then we're in the promised land, and things seem to be going really well. But then they started to forget about spiritual things, became a dog-eat-dog existence, and the next thing you know, Babylon conquered them, and they were taken off to back to Babylon, and this is Jewish people at the waters of Babylon, just crying and remembering what they had, and so sad about what they lost. What came back to me, it was my first ministry. It was in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and person trying to protect anonymity and all that. One of the most successful business people, one of the most successful businesses in Oklahoma. You saw him in the newspaper a lot. He was a member of the congregation. Was seemed to be a beautiful love relationship and all that. He asked me if he could see me, and I said, "Sure, come on in. I have pastoral counseling. Come on in." So he came in, and I looked at him, and great, successful business person, beautiful, had beautiful woman he was dating and all that. Came in and said to me, "Rick, I've been sober and free of drugs for 12 years, and I am this close to slipping. I am this close to by the waters of Babylon." This, tears. And trying to, it was so beautiful to be with him several sessions and to see him to recenter and to remember what he had. These precious, precious gifts of sobriety, of a life which had led to this wonderful business, and realizing that he, how close it could slip and fall away, and to see him remember and to recenter, to see him remember and recenter. We're going to be talking about Judaism today, and one of the central concepts in Judaism is something called tikkun olam, restoration of the world. Restoration of the world. Restoration of that spiritual centeredness. And to have the wisdom when we're losing it, when we feel, it's getting off the beam, and to step back and to recenter. When many, first, I guess, full disclosure, two people, Ari spent a lot of time in a Jewish community. I was adopted by a Jewish family, and very active in a temple, and Judaism means an awful lot to me. When many of us think of Jesus, we think of somebody who founded a religion, not just a religion, the largest religion on the face of the earth, founded a new religion. But what's interesting, and it's coming even clearer with new scholarship, biblical scholarship, archaeological research, etc., that Jesus's really first intention, what he was driving at originally, was not the founding of a new religion. What he was really trying to do was revitalize Judaism. What he was trying to do was revitalize Judaism. He was a very good Jewish boy, not from the Bronx, but a good Jewish boy, nonetheless, a very good, and he was deeply interested in Judaism. And it's interesting, there are so many similarities between Jesus's relationship to Judaism and also unity and so many strong connections to Judaism. First, as I said, it was not Jesus's first original goal to set up a new denomination and a new religion. It was to revitalize what was there. And very much it was the same way with the Fillmores, Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, the founders of the Unity movement. The last thing in the world they wanted to do was start a new denomination. As a matter of fact, in the early days, unity, the early meetings of unity happened at 4 in the afternoon. They held them at 4 in the afternoon. Why? Go to your Methodist church, go to your Presbyterian church, go to your Catholic church, go there, then come on visit us in the afternoon, and we'll teach and whatever. And then the goal was, we're hoping you bring what you're learning here back to the Methodist church, back to the Catholic church, back to the Presbyterian church. But it didn't, what happened, I mean, Tulsa was a great example of this. Several people from Tulsa went to Kansas City to study under the Fillmores. Then they came back to Tulsa, and they started an in-home group. They started an in-home group meeting at 4, but then, people asked, could it meet at 10? I guess they too had a discussion whether it should meet at 10 or 11, and they settled on 10. But anyway, but then it's, and essentially what grew up in Tulsa from, it grew like Topsy. Next thing you knew, you had a church. And this happened all around the place, and next thing you know, Fillmore's goal might not have been to start a new denomination. Next thing you know, you had in essence, you had a new denomination. How do you train ministers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So very, very similar. The other very interesting connection between unity and Judaism, metaphysics is very important to us. Guess what? Metaphysics is very important to Judaism. In Judaism, even the Orthodox, way back when, did not just read the Bible literally. They felt, even if you get a literal, even if you get it literally, that's just the beginning. You have to look for the metaphysical details. And Reverend John Paul Roach, Unity, his wonderful book, Unity and World Religion, which we're looking at and using, Reverend Paul writes, modern metaphysics has its origin in the careful and keen interpretation of Jewish scholars over the millennia. We have so much to thank them for in that regard. When Charles Fillmore compiled the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary, which is central text to us, one of our central texts, Charles was heavily influenced by Jewish scholarship. Another interesting connection, covenant. The concept of covenant is central in Judaism, an agreement, a covenant between God and the Jewish people. In the Bible, the first covenant, the one with Noah, then the covenant with Abraham, and then finally at Mount Sinai, the Mosaic covenant of Moses bringing down that covenant. Covenant, ironically, was also very central to unity. Myrtle Fillmore in the 1880s had that. I mean, she was on death's door, and medical science told her, "There's no more we can do for you." She then went to that lecture where she heard words which, her spiritual healing was instantaneous. It took several years of hard work before the physical manifestation came, but she was recovered. She recovered, and when doctors said she was not going to, she should really prepare for death. Here she was, healthy, vibrant. She wasn't trying to proselytize. People looked at her, and this was a sickly woman, now healthy. How'd you do it? And they'd come traipsing into her home, and she'd talk to them, and she'd pray. This is sort of silent unity, and would talk to them and pray with them, and they would recover. Now Charles, man of business, man of science, skeptical a bit, but he can't deny that he saw the change in his wife. He saw the change in a lot of the people coming into his house. He finally said, and this is Charles's words, "I'm going directly to headquarters. I'm going directly to headquarters to see whether there's anything about this." And so he then started going to prayer and meditation. It's funny, one of their grandchildren wrote, "I just thought, because my grandmother and grandfather would go into the silence, go into meditation. I just thought this is what grandparents did, And eventually she learned from her other kids, her friends, that not all grandparents go into the silence. But anyway, Charles was amazed by what he found, that there really was something to this. There really is something more than the material world. So the first thing he did was that Myrtle and Charles signed a covenant. They literally called it a covenant. and wrote a covenant that they were going to dedicate their lives to the teaching and spreading of these healing principles. And again, they didn't think that this was new revelation. They thought that, this is how Jesus and other great masters did healings, did these things. This is how people changed their lives and recovered. And they didn't think this is how they did it in the first century Christianity. They didn't think they were discovering something new. They were going back to and bringing back, getting sort of the incrustation off of this stuff and letting this stuff really come alive. And they signed a covenant. And if you go to Unity Village, and I hope you do, it's a beautiful spiritual oasis. You can literally see the covenant, agreement that they signed, and they called it a covenant. The other thing, in Judaism, law is very important. The law is very, very, very important. And in Unity, spiritual principles, spiritual laws are very important. We're doing a Wednesday class on prayer, and we're using Eric Butterworth's wonderful book, The Universe is Calling. The Universe is Calling. And Eric keeps saying, it's not miracles. What you're seeing when these prayers are working is the unfolding of spiritual law, of spiritual principles. Because a lot of times when we pray, we say, oh yeah, God, you've created this world, but, could you do a one-off? Could you, I know you have all these principles, but could you just change it right over here for me? And if you do, I promise for the rest of my life I'll eat bowls of carrot sticks and hot steam for the rest, and that's not how it works. It works through law. And so law is, and when you're following certain spiritual principles, the flow seems to go very nicely. And so we're going to be looking at Judaism today, and I remember I said in the introduction to this series, we're going to be really asking three series of questions. The first are what I'm calling the Reverend Paul John Roach questions from here, because Reverend Paul believes that there is this, remember, perennial philosophy, this golden thread. Aldous Huxley, that great British writer, talked about the perennial philosophy, that if you look at the great religions of the world, the great spiritual paths of the world, there are certain common denominators that keep coming up in all of these different spiritual paths, what he calls a perennial philosophy or a golden thread. So the first question which we're going to try to ask each time when we look at a religion, how does this religion or spiritual tradition demonstrate the perennial philosophy or this golden thread? And then I said there'd be a whole second series of questions which we would be asking, which I called the Houston Smith questions. Houston Smith, that great professor at MIT on comparative religion, and the Houston Smith is, it's a perennial philosophy, but each of these different religions tend to cook with different spices, and they come at it with different camera angles, almost like, the old Hindu story about blind men touching different parts of the elephant. It's an elephant, but I mean, you get a different feeling about what an elephant is by touching its tail as opposed to touching its tusk. And then the question is, how can we incorporate some of these spices? Wouldn't it be neat if we could incorporate some of these spices into our spiritual walk? And then third, I said we'd be looking at what I call the Ken Wilber questions. Ken Wilber, a great spiritual philosopher, I think one of the leading spiritual philosophers, certainly of my generation. And what Ken said is no religion gets an A+ in everything. A lot of religions are really good here, but not so great there. They're great here, not great there. So in each case, what is a spiritual tradition or religion really good at? Where is its weaknesses, and how has it dealt with those weaknesses? So first, it's really a toss-up between Judaism and Hinduism, which is the oldest. Reverend Paul gives it to Judaism. There are others who might give it to Hinduism, but they're both old. And very interesting, both Hinduism and Judaism, there really is not one founder. It's not like Buddhism founded by the Buddha. I mean, who's the founder of Judaism? Is it Abraham? Is it Moses? Is it David? Is it the prophets? In the modern world, modern Judaism, is it Albert Einstein? I mean, there's no one, as it were, founder. What about this golden thread? Do we really see the golden thread in Judaism? Oh my goodness, yes. If you were ever on an El Al airplane, El Al is the airline of Israel, and if this El Al plane were to, take a dive or something. By the way, El Al is probably one of these. It's certainly dealing with terrorists. It's the safest. Its track record is the safest of them all. But if it were to, take a nosedive and start, heading down, you would probably hear a lot of the people around you in that airplane say the Shema, which is one of the central prayers, if not the central prayer in Judaism. It is Shema Yisrael, Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Seeing that oneness, and as a matter of fact, right at that section, it's in Deuteronomy 6, when Jesus was asked, what's the most important law? He went to Deuteronomy 6 and said, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, all your might. The Shema is right underneath that. Then Jesus said, and also he went to Leviticus 19:18, you love your neighbor as yourself. Went to two central points from Judaism, stressing that oneness of spirit, And in Judaism, there is a deep relationship with spirit and with spirit within. But interestingly, it's not just on the individual level. It's not just I'm John Wayne and I have this, individual relationship or whatever. In Judaism, it is also very much about corporate relationships, not business, the Fortune 500, or when I say corporate, but I mean relationships within the community. It is the deep relationship with spirit, not just within the individual, but on the level of the nation, on the level of the family, and on the level of the Jewish people. Also, so much of Judaism is about meaning, and particularly seeing meaning in history, and being able to see so much of God's purpose through the history of the Jewish people. And of course, Christianity came in. It wasn't throwing out the Old Testament. It was taking it and using it and seeing very much, and seeing, again, the meaning through that, but also seeing the fulfillment through Jesus' ministry. So, other which are so central and important, the concept of the promised land, which we've talked about, and exile, which that song did such a great job at looking at, but the importance of being in the promised land. And it's very interesting, progressive Jews, very much like unity, would see that concept of the promised land as not a piece of real estate, but see that as a state. The promised land is a state of consciousness. The promised land is a state of consciousness. When we feel that we truly are one with the one, when we can feel that, and again, unity very much about heaven and hell, heaven being a state of consciousness that we feel that we truly are connected with the divine, and that divine spark is inside of us. And when we can honestly, truly feel that, then we are in heaven. When we don't feel that, when we feel disconnected, cut off by the rivers of Babylon, as it were, We honestly, truly feel that is the hellish experience. You know, it's interesting. We see, Satan with a pitchfork and all that. We say, doesn't exist. But you know what? A lot of people who come into unity, didn't have to die. They've been to, they've been to hell. But the neat thing is that we have the very keys that can unlock the door and get us out of there. The moment we can come back into that consciousness of being in the promised land, and that these divine principles really are true, that it is the Creator's good pleasure to give us the kingdom, as Jesus said, that I have come that I may have life and have it abundantly, again, as Jesus said. When we can feel that, then that promised land, that heavenly experience comes back. No matter where we are or what we are going through. And that is so radically important. Another concept, and I talked about it a moment ago, is tikkun olam, the restoration of the world. There in Jewish folklore, there is the tradition that somehow before the creation of all this, the universe or whatever, there was light. There was light. And it got shattered. And pieces of this divine spark are in everything. And the goal, which the prophets really talked about so strongly, is the reunification of bringing these sparks back together into shalom. Peace, yes, but more than that, the concept of wholeness, the restoration, and that we have a small part, each of us have a small part to play. We do this through what is called mitzvahs, or commandments. When we are moving in the way which we believe the divine would have us move, then we are doing a mitzvah, restoring a little piece of that back together, and returning and doing that wholeness. What is Judaism really good at, or what is it, what are the spices it's cooking with? Very strongly with social justice. Going back to the prophets, that concept of social justice, Prophet Micah, you've been told what God wants of you, to do justice, love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. An emphasis on study, that it is so much important to the study of the law, the study of the covenant. Has it proven to be a strength? Well, let me point out a statistic. Jews represent well under 1% of the population. Jews now represent 0.2% of the population, of the world's population. And yet 22.4% of the Nobel Prizes that have been awarded to Jews. Weakness? Yes, I would see a weakness in Judaism is that sometimes it can become overly intellectual. It can become highly intellectual and start to drift into being head knowledge and not being heart knowledge. But we can learn a lot by looking at how how Judaism has tended to deal with this. Because every time when it appears that the train is about to really go off the rails and get so overly intellectual or rigid, what tends to happen is that a movement within Judaism forms to really shift it and correct it and bring the train right back on the track. For example, the Hasidic movement. Hasidism was founded by a great rabbi known as the Baal Shem Tov, the master of the good name in Eastern Europe. Really, in essence, yes, intellectual stuff and study is important, but it's also important to smell the flowers. And also, very much like Paul in Corinthians 13, I could have the knowledge of angels, and if I'm not speaking in love, if I'm not actually doing it, if I'm not actually walking the walk, then I'm like a cymbal or a gong. And the Hasidic movement was very much back into, for celebrating the Sabbath, the baking of challah bread, and how you can, the preparing of Passover and things like that, bringing it back from head knowledge back into heart knowledge. Another movement within the Jewish tradition to get the train back on the rails is the Kabbalah, the study of the mystical side of Judaism. Very, very important, and has had such an incredible impact. I've, in the back, last week, the orange one was from when we talked about Christianity. This blue one is some suggested readings about, if you want anything more about Judaism. The first book is called The Story of Judaism by Bernard Bamberger, a good one volume which I think pulls it all together. The prophets are so important. I've put a book by Beryl Cohn, really truly important. The Essence of Judaism, sort of getting at that heart space by Leo Beck. Isaac Bashevis Singers was the son of a Eastern European rabbi, a great, great writer. He writes In My Father's Court, which is really about that about Hasidism and also about Kabbalah. I've also put down here a volume called Kabbalah for Beginners. If you're really interested it's a great, I think, introduction into this mystical side of Judaism. I've also suggested one other book. It's a novel by Franz Kafka called The Trial. Gershel Sholem, a great scholar, Jewish scholar in Israel, said that Franz Kafka was perhaps the greatest mystical Jewish writer of the 20th century. I have to laugh because one of the central things in Judaism, the high holidays, I think it was either Rosh Hashanah or Yom Kippur, and my father had died and I didn't want to have anything to do with religion. My mother said, "We're Jews, you're not going to school today." I said, "I am going to go to school today." And "No, you are not." So I didn't go to school. There was a woods behind our house. I took a copy of The Trial by Franz Kafka, this great atheist. I'm going to sit in the woods and read Franz Kafka and read The Trial. And it was years later that I read Gershel Sholem saying that probably the greatest mystical writer was Franz Kafka of the 20th century. So my act of defiance was to go out. My atheistic act of defiance was to go out, sit under, couldn't do anything more Jewish than to do that. I'd like to just give a few customs or stuff that, just sort of reflect my past. Now, when you walk into a temple, and I don't care whether it's an Orthodox shul or it's a Reform, you'll see an ark. This would be the ark right here, and you open it, and inside would be the Torah scrolls. But right above would be a light. Usually now it's a gas light, and it's called the eternal light. And it comes from where God said to Moses, "I want you to have an eternal light by the ark." In other words, and I want somebody always there, so 24/7 service, to know that this connection, this link is always open, always there. And as a matter of fact, when we get to Unity's second principle, which is about the divine spark in all of us, and that's essentially who we are. I always think, in my mind, I think of the eternal light, and I think of sort of, obviously, an eternal, you can't have a literal light inside you, but I think of that image, that we all have that eternal light. The second is the shofar. Shofar is a ram's horn. It's a ram's horn, and on Rosh Hashanah it is blown in the boy, oh boy, it wakes you up. It wakes you up. And that's, I love it, when they ask Buddha, are you God? No, I'm not. Are you a prophet? No, I'm not a prophet. Well, what the heck are you? Buddha said, I'm awake. I'm awake. Spiritually awake, and that blowing of the shofar. And I think so often, that's exactly what I need. I need that shofar. I need that metaphysical kick in the pants or whatever it is, which is going to wake me up and remind me. So I'm not weeping at the waters of Babylon. I'm not weeping at the waters of Babylon. So I'm not going to somebody and saying, oh my God, I was so close to, to remember that. The shofar is so important. The other is Passover Seder. So much of Judaism is done in the home, not in the synagogue. And that is so important. And Ari and I have we won't do it this year, but we're thinking of next year actually doing a Seder in this, downstairs. You're all invited, and to really connect that Seder into a traditional Seder, but also connecting it into our unity principles, because it is so linked. The last, believe it or not, this is very, it's a minor holiday in Judaism, but I'm going to bring it up as it's called Tu B'Shvat. It's the New Year's of the trees. New Year's of the trees. And I remember as a kid, they would collect money, and it was to plant trees in Israel. In Israel. I bring up Tu B'Shvat, and it connects so powerfully into that third unity principles that we were talking about, because you would see pictures of this, in Israel. It was literally Fort Stinking Desert. I mean, there was nothing, these are before pictures. There was absolutely nothing there. And then through thought, through dedication, the next thing you see is the pictures of what it looks like now, and it's productive farmland, or it's beautiful forests, that our thoughts honestly do truly do matter and do make a difference, and that we can make a difference. So that's another image. So I think, if I had to boil this all down, I would say first, remember the Shema. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. The unity of God, of spirit, so without, so within. Second, that life honestly, truly does have meaning. There is a promised land, and yes, we can be in exile from that promised land, but we can return to it. And I would ask all of us, where is our Jerusalem? What is our Jerusalem? Third, Tikkun Olam, restoration of the world, and our small part in it. And fourth, when out of balance, Judaism was sometimes getting overly intellectual. When out of balance, what can you do to bring yourself back into balance and into alignment? Now, I hope, if you've not been to Unity Village outside of Kansas City, I hope you get a chance to go there sometime. It is a beautiful spiritual oasis. And in the original temple in Jerusalem, way back when, there was the Holy of Holies. The central, there was the outer courts, there were the outer courts and all that, but there was the central inner Holy of Holy where the ark and was held, and there was the eternal light and all that. So it made me think, if you had to have a Holy of Holies, and again, in Unity we believe all ground is holy, wherever you are is holy. But if there was one sort of central Holy of Holies in Unity Village, where is it? And I thought, I know where it is. It is the central prayer chapel at Silent Unity, where the Silent Unity being that great beacon of prayer. Silent Unity, where somebody is always there in front of, and on prayer vigil, and there's a wall and a Bible opened up in front of it, and there's a fresco on the wall. And on that fresco are just one verse from Hebrew scriptures, from the Psalms. Psalms 46:10. Be still and know that I am God. Let's pretend for a moment, take a deep breath, and slowly let it out. I invite you to close your eyes, to pretend that you are at that prayer chapel at Unity Village, looking up at that verse from Hebrew Scriptures. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know. Be still. Be. And actually, when Moses asked God, I'll go and all that, who should I say sent me? God says, tell him I am who I am, Yahweh, which is a play on the Hebrew verb to be. To be. Be still. Be. Next week we'll look at another unity in world and world religions. We'll look at Islam. I'm looking forward to that. God bless and shalom.
So as we go into meditation today, we are going to recall that light to us and reclaim it as our own, and return to who we are and who we have always been, the unity and the completeness of light. Return again. Here we are. There it is. Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul. Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul. Return to who you are. Return to what you are. Return to who you are. Born and reborn again. Return to who you are. Return to what you are. Return to who you are. Born and reborn again. Return again. Return again. Return to the land of your soul. Return again. Return again. Return to the land of your soul. Return to who you are. Return to what you are. Return to who you are. Born and reborn again. Return to who you are. Return to what you are. Return to who you are. Born and reborn again. Return. Return to the land of your soul. Return again. Return again. Return to the land of your soul. Return again. Return again. Return to the land of your soul. Return again. Return again. Return to the land of your soul.
Let's close our eyes a moment as we return to the land of our soul, to that promised land. And know that shalom, that peace, that wholeness, as Paul put it so well, that peace that passes all understanding. And as we enter this Lenten season, to think of maybe one or two error thoughts that are holding us back from all that we can realistically be. And yes, our egos probably can't get rid of these things. But thank God there's so much more than our egos. And with this peace and this joy and this dedication to work at letting go of these error thoughts, we gladly go into the silence. Thank you, dear Spirit. As that great ancient Hebrew prophet Zechariah said, not by might, nor by power, but by thy Spirit, says the Lord. We know that we are overcomers and that the best is yet to come. And for this and so much more, we say thank you and amen and amen.
The light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the and the presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever I am, God is. Wherever I am, God is. Wherever I am, God is, and all is well. Let's stand and sing. Let's proclaim this as our truth. The light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. And the presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever I am, God is. Wherever I am, God is. Wherever I am, God is, and all is well.
Please be seated. Well, now in the time of this is the time of our service where we move from the sublime to the ridiculous, as it were. But, you know, the great Unity teacher, Jim Rosemergy, he actually wrote a book with this title, Even Mystics Have to Pay Bills. And that's the case here. So we're talking now about tithes, love offerings, gifts, and we are so blessed. We've been running this abundance campaign because it was a suggestion Ari made, which I thought was an excellent suggestion. If we could just, you know, get pledges, as it were, to fill our operating budget, which is modest, really, honestly, truly modest. If we could do that, then we could, you know, not hawk about money all the time. We could move on from that, and we could do a lot of other things. And my God, we started this campaign on February 12th. And we're already at 59% of goal. I mean, from my United Way days, the needle didn't go up that quickly. I mean, this is an incredible group. And we ask for folks also online to consider this. You'll see there are forms in the back, pledge forms about get, and again, it's just to know that the budget is covered, so then we can move on and do other things. So I would ask, if you've not filled out a pledge, you can. You'll see, and it's not just, obviously, it's not just for money, because it's time, treasure, and talent. I've had people come up to me and say, well, you know, I don't have a lot of money now, but I am really good at. And I said, that's fantastic. We're going to get you in touch with Bob. I mean, he has you down. You know, the time, treasure, and talent is so important. So we'd ask you if you could please fill that out. Folks online, your contributions really, honestly, truly do matter. You can do it through Zelle, through check or cash or PayPal, or click the link below. Snail mail works a little slower these days, but it still is working. And, you know, this ministry came through the pandemic, and it came through with the flying colors. And what I really enjoy is that you continue to be a giving ministry, supporting Unity things, supporting wonderful local ministries here, you know, in town. And so, honestly, truly, thank you so much. Let's affirm that our abundance with that great statement. Unity in the Seven Hills is abundantly blessed. Creative people are drawn to us. Divine ideas flow through us. Financial resources bless us. And we accomplish mighty works together. And again, it's not just, I mean, the other thing, which I've said this before, this is a frugal ministry. I mean, you should come around here during the week. And during the winter, this place is a meat locker in terms of. I mean, I feel like Bob Cratchit turning to Bonnie. Can I put another lump of coal on the, you know? but and quite frankly, that's the way it should be. It should be a frugal ministry, and it should be devoting resources to what really matters, which is not heating a room when nobody's in the room. And I have been associated with ministries which heated rooms which nobody was in. So I mean, I think it is being used efficiently. In a moment, we're going to ask people to come forward. I know there are a lot of people who give online and stuff like that. Come on up. Your blessings and good vibrations are really important. And then we would ask everybody, please take an affirmation. I can't tell you, it's incredible. A lot of times I've taken an affirmation, and it is just, it has been just the word that I have needed. And so, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And let's get started. This is my favorite song, no offense, of the whole.
Oh yeah,
field
yeah.
match.
This is Harold Payne's song.
And a quick reminder, this is the last week, I believe, that we are collecting money to go to Jubilee Center. Just to let you all know that. I don't know what next month is, but we're still collecting for Jubilee Center.
Something wonderful is happening to me right here, right now. I can feel it in my body, oh, I can feel it in my soul. I can feel it in my heart, and it won't let go, no, it won't let go. All this love inside. We can let it shine out. Yes, we can. Something wonderful is happening to me right here, right now. I can feel it in my body, oh, I can feel it in my soul. I can feel it in my heart, and I won't let go, no, it won't let go. All this love inside. We can let it shine out. We can. Something wonderful is happening to me right here, right now. I can feel it in my body, I can feel it in my soul, I can feel it in my heart, and it won't let go, no, it won't let go. All this love inside. We can let it shine, yes we can. Something wonderful.
Thank you for joining us today. Calendar events available at unityandthesevenhills.org, and there are copies of it in the back. We actually got that and the new newsletter back there for anyone who wants one. Just a quick reminder of all the events we have weekly. Mondays at 6:15, join us for yoga with Rhonda, and then who is here today? All right. And then at 7 p.m. on Zoom, we have our Spirit Circle to dive into the Sunday message this week, Judaism. Tuesdays at 10:30 on Zoom, we apply our principles in the Rubber Meets the Road group. Wednesdays, we are following Eric Butterworth and learning new thoughts on prayer. Thursdays comes out in meditation with myself at 6 p.m. Fridays and Saturdays, hey, we have to take a break at some point. Sunday, March 19th, we welcome guest musicians and speakers, Armand and Angelina. Also, stay after service that Sunday for a class on native flute instruments. And then real quick, Rick, did you want to say something about the book club?
Book club is starting up on March 21st. It will meet online once a month, the third Tuesday of each month. And we are doing In the Flow by Eric Butterworth. Flow or being in the zone is such an important concept in sports, in psychology, and also in spiritual circles. And so please sign up. There should be a sign-up sheet. There is a sign-up sheet. There will be a sign-up sheet to sign up, and look forward to seeing you there. And the books are in the back.
And I'd like to add too, we're getting ready to open the bookstore in hopefully a couple weeks. Bonnie has been painting the bookstore. Tomorrow, Christine is going to be cleaning the floors, and she says it's a one-woman job, so we don't need any extra help. However, after service today, if we can have a little bit of able men and women to help move some of the things out of the bookstore so we get ready for Christine's work tomorrow. Okay? Thank you.
And
One more thing before we wrap up here. Those of you who have been in the choir and those of you who have not yet been in the choir, we're going to get that kicked off. That started again, so look out for that, and we will be doing some special music for Easter.
And the youth want to talk about what you did today?
There you go.
Talking today? You are? Okay, we talked about Judaism downstairs, and again, there was more of us, but not everybody wants to come up, and that's okay. Today we made
a dreidel.
and what's this one?
David's story, right?
Star of David. Yep. Can you hold them up?
All right, your prayer chaplain today is Regina, right in front of me. They'll be around to hold space with you. We're about to sing the peace song and then gather for coffee, but before that, if you're watching at home, like, comment, subscribe, and click that bell icon. It's the easiest way to access our live streams.
And if you want a t-shirt,
Yes, we have a form in the back for anyone who wants a t-shirt, but please drop your money in there too for the t-shirt, because we need that to get the t-shirt. And no one has dropped money in there yet, so just a reminder, important step. All right, let's sing the peace
And
song.
now the peace song. Don't forget to step forward and keep on stepping forward. Yes, there is peace on earth, and yes, it begins with me. Yes, there is peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, united all are we. Yes, we walk with each other in perfect harmony. Yes, peace begins with me. Yes, this is the moment now. With every step I take, yes, this is my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Yes, there is peace on earth, and yes, it begins with me. See you downstairs, everybody.